Today we're making a video showing how to remove the radio and climate control unit on our 2006 Honda Accord. So in order to get to this assembly or to remove it, there are a few trim pieces we're going to need to remove. We're going to need to take out this top panel here. We're going to also need to remove the trim piece around the shifter, the coin storage tray here, and the big storage box right here below the radio. Okay, so now we're going to remove this top trim panel. It's just held in with clips, so you have to pry it out. In order to avoid damaging the dash, we're using the plastic pry tools. You can pry it on the sides here to get the clips that hold the front to pop out, and then you can just lift up, and you don't need to completely remove it. You can really just set it aside, and then you can, that allows you to access the top screws for the radio climate control. Next we'll go to the bottom trim pieces. Alright, so next I want to remove this trim panel around the shifter, and then we're going to go ahead and move the other pieces. The shifter is going to be in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and put on the parking brake and then turn the key on so I can move the shifter all the way back. And then we're going to just pry to get this trim piece out. There we go. And so it's just held in with 6 metal retaining clips, which actually I found by putting a little silicone lube or some type of lubricant on it. It actually will make it a lot easier to remove for future use. Alright, so now we're going to open up the coin tray, and if you lift right here, there's a rubber insert here, or there should be, could be missing, you never know. But if you pry up the corner, there's a little spot here where you can take a small screwdriver and you can actually pry this insert out. There we go. I guess I didn't have to pry that hard. Okay, so we got that piece out, and now we can get these 2 screws that will remove the whole assembly here. There we go. There's one. Might need some light because it's pretty dark in there. Alright, there's the second one. So now we can pull that up, and then we're gonna disconnect the power outlet. There's a little squeeze tab on the side here, and then you can take that out. And then there's going to be 2 more screws behind that, and we'll remove those next so that we can get the storage box out. Alright, so to get this box out, the lid actually needs to be closed, and or at least for us it has to be. And so you can grab from the bottom and wiggle it and then pop it out of there. And there we go. So we're ready to start removing our unit here, and we're going to take out the 3 screws on the top. All of these Phillips screws so far are the same, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. You can just put them all in a pile together. All right, now we're gonna get the last two down below. These are 8mm head bolts here that are holding in the unit to the bottom mounting bracket. So gonna get those two loose. Not quite. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to pull the unit out and disconnect all the wires. Alright, so now we're gonna wiggle the unit out. It's just clipped in. Oop, there we go. There's actually a bracket right here, so if you're pulling on the bracket, you're not gonna get anywhere. You gotta grab kind of just the very edge of it. And it's sticking, but there, let's see. I think what might work be to use the pry tool. There we go. I think we still got one clip. Oh, there we go. Yeah, these bottom clips are kind of a pain. Alright, so now we got the unit pulled back and we just got to disconnect the wiring. Alright, so the connector at the top passenger side has a squeeze tab on it. And so just squeeze that. It's kind of a tight fit in there, getting your hand in there, but squeeze and pull that back. There we go. Oh, and there's also this little clip which secures on the bracket on the side, which is undone already. And then you can pull it out a little bit more. So now we're gonna pull out the antenna wire, which actually with some pliers can be done really easily. Can be in there kind of tight. That makes easy work of it. And then you have your main radio connector, which has a squeeze tab on top. And then pull that one out. And then there's also a little clip that secures it to the bracket right there, which we removed. And now your unit is out. So we have just removed our stock radio from the 2006 Honda Accord. And well, actually radio and climate control assembly, I should say. We're just showing how the radio unit itself comes out. There's two bolts on either side of the mounting bracket, and you remove those. Those are 8mm head bolts right there, and then you can slide the radio unit out, replace it if, say, you have a broken one. And then now we're going to show you how to reinstall the assembly. First things first, we're going to go ahead and plug in all the connectors. We got the display connector on top. Then we got the radio connector in the back. Then your antenna connector on the side here. And then don't forget your plastic clips that support the wiring harness pieces. Alright, so now that we've got everything plugged in, we're going to just slide the radio unit back in place. And you can feel it clips in on the sides. And then we're going to put in the 3 screws on the top and the 2 small bolts that mount it to the brackets in the bottom. So we're going to put in our 3 Phillips screws. Okay, and Once those are all snug, now we'll go in from underneath and get the remaining 2 bolts. Now we're gonna get the lower bracket bolts in. Careful because they go at kind of a odd angle, so be careful not to cross thread them. All right, on to the next step. All right, so now we're gonna put the top panel back in place. Basically, the trick that I'm doing is lining up these tabs in the back into the slots they fit into, and then setting the assembly down. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna push it back. You can hear it snap in. And then the sides will also probably need a little help to completely snap down. And that's it, no screws or bolts required on that. So we're going to put the box back in, but first we need the parking lever out of the way. So we're gonna step on the brake, put the key in the on position, and move the lever back. So, and make sure you have your parking brake on, of course. And now we have room so we can get in there and reinstall the box. There we go. So that just snaps back in with clips, and then there's going to be 2 screws down here that hold it in. Alright, now we're going to install the 2 screws in the bottom that hold this storage box in. Be really careful with these ones because if you drop them, they might get lost forever. Okay. There we go, on to the next step. So now we're gonna put in the power outlet slash coin tray, I guess you wanna call it that. So you plug in the power outlet and then drop it in. Okay. And then there's 2 screws back there that hold it in place, which are a little tricky, but there we go. This should be fun. There we go. Okay, then after that, your little insert just drops in. And then the last part is just dropping the trim plate around the shifter. And that just presses in, and that's it. You can put your shifter back into park, and you're all done.